should have just not bothered with my hair. It is not my forte. Also, I thought I put in some hair extensions and they do not blend at all. So like my hair is just hiding under here. Anyway, hi, hello. Today I'm going to be doing a drugstore exclusively bridal makeup look for anyone that is doing the makeup themselves and is maybe on a bit more of a budget. I'm getting married this summer and I'm doing my makeup myself. I did do one trial video already, but I said that I would do one that is fully drugstore, so that's what I'm going to do today. Let's do it. Oh, my bow is slipping out already. How cute is this, by the way? I made this today with a bit of ribbon and a hair clip. I followed a TikTok tutorial. It turned out so good. So before I start my makeup, I'm going to hydrate my lips just so that by the time I come to do my lipstick, my lips aren't dry and crusty. That is a good tip. This is just one of the e.l.f. lip oils, which I love. This is the shade Rose Envy. I mean, you could just literally use any lip balm. It doesn't really matter. And you also want to make sure that you hydrate your skin. So however you usually do your skincare routine, that you know, like do a bit of trial and error before the wedding day to make sure that your moisturizers or whatever you're using on your face, that is not enough SPF, but I'm not leaving the house right now. Make sure that whatever you're using as your moisturizer works well underneath your makeup. Like definitely do a trial because some products don't like each other and it might start peeling and go weird. So double check beforehand. I just use this E45 SPF Daily Protect stuff, which is a nice hydrating SPF. And then I'm going to start with my eyes just in case I get any eyeshadow that like crumbles down onto my face. You don't want to ruin your base, so I'm going to do my eyes first, which I don't normally bother with, but on your wedding day, maybe I will bother. I'm using this eye base, which is from Beauty Bay. I just realised I didn't wet my sponge. I'll be right back. So I forgot to press record when I came back, but literally all I've done is blend this up to my eyebrows because it was a skin tone one. I don't want there to be any weird gaps or anything, and I'm going to do my eyebrows later. So this is just what I personally would do, but feel free to do this in whatever order you like. So in terms of bridal eyeshadow palettes, I have a few recommendations. I did actually go into Superdrug today and I bought two new ones, which to me look like they're going to be gorgeous. This one from MUA, I reckon is like bare minimum what you would need, and it kind of has everything in there. They also do different shades of this. I believe they have a darker one, so if you have deeper skin and you want something that's darker than this shade, then they have other choices. This is the MUA Neutral Wanderlust eyeshadow collection. It's got 5 shades in there, 3 mattes, 2 shimmers, perfect bridal colours, and this is £3.95. And I swatched them in the store and they're so nice and pigmented. Like, I'm not gonna lie, some eyeshadow palettes in Superdrug and Boots are just a bit crap. These ones, they feel so nice. And I also got this one, which was £6. It has more of a variety. The only thing about this one, I wish that this dark purple was a dark brown. That is my only complaint. However, I am going to use a brown pencil eyeliner anyway, but this is called the Blush Nudes palette. But for me, for bridal makeup, these two combined, that's all the shades that I will need. Under £10 for all of those shades. I bought this palette because of this shade in particular, because blended out, this is the most gorgeous, like shimmery, glittery. That is going to be stunning in the inner corners. But other choices in case you can't get hold of those. I've got to say, I don't think they sell this at Superdrug stores anymore, but my original Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palette collab, it's just the SOPH one, the first one that I did. SOPH Ultra Eyeshadow 24 eyeshadow palette. This is a really good bridal palette as well. It kind of has like every shade that you might need in there. Although I will be honest, the shimmers in the MUA one are better than the ones in my old palette. I did not have access to those kind of formulas when I was making this. Another one is the Colourpop Going Coconuts palette. This one is obviously for if you're based in the US or if you're doing a Colourpop order anyway, because Colourpop do some amazing product. They do ship to the UK, but obviously the shipping is a little bit more expensive unless you spend over, I think it's like 80 quid, then it's free? Question mark. This is a gorgeous bridal palette. Milani also make a fair few of these little mini ones, the Gilded Mini palettes. This one is called Whiskey Business. This one is all mattes, but they do also have other ones with shimmers. They don't have a quite perfect one for me. Another one is this little e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palette in Cream and Sugar. This has come with me so many places. It's really, really handy. But again, the shimmers in this one aren't quite as good as the MUA, so I'm going to go with MUA today. So before anything, make sure, you see how just from me talking, there's a tiny bit of creasing there. Make sure that those creases are blended out. Otherwise, if you put anything on top of that, it's just going to set those creases into place, and that is not what you want. So just make sure all creases are blended before you set anything. That is in terms of eyeshadow, in terms of concealer, in terms of foundation. Blend, then immediately set afterwards if you can. I'm going to start with this palette actually, and I'm going to take the middle shade, which is like a neutral light brown, I would say. And I'm just going to start applying this with a fluffy eyeshadow brush on my outer corners. Don't hold the brush like too close to the end, otherwise it will like really get in there and be too harsh. If you hold your brush a bit further back, and then I'm just like doing very light circular motions, trying to focus this on my outer corners, and then I'm just going to gently kind of bring that outwards. I would recommend, if you're doing your makeup yourself, have a few practice goes, especially with the eyeshadow. I mean, all together ideally, but if you're unsure, but I would always recommend working in light layers, because you can always add have products, but you can't really take it away super easily. So when it comes to eyeshadows, when it comes to blush, contour, foundation, anything, go light at first and you can always add more if you need it. Don't go super heavy-handed, which I mean, sometimes I do that because I'm not perfect. And I'm also not a makeup artist. However, I have been doing my own makeup for, I don't know, like over half my life now. Another thing that is so helpful when you're doing your makeup, try and have, like in front of me right now, slightly to the left, ideally it's better if it's directly in front of you, I've got a big mirror and I will keep looking between the small mirror and the big mirror, just because when you look in the big mirror it's easier to tell like symmetry, to see if you've got your eyeshadow symmetrical, if the shapes are matching up, if you've got enough product on there. And also when you're doing your makeup, if you don't have a light that can be directly in front of you, sit directly in front of a window. Don't sit sideways, because otherwise you've got the window coming in from one side and it's going to cast shadows on the other side of your face and your makeup will not turn out even. Always face the light source like completely head on if you can. So I'm just blending the excess of that like backwards into the front part of my eye, and then the further that I get towards my eyebrow and like the edges, I'm going even lighter with my strokes. Also, we can clean up the edges once we're done, so don't panic too much. Just adding a little bit more on this side. And if you want to go for some more kind of pinky tones, then I might just dip into this palette. You know what? I'm going to dip into this light pink. I'm just going to use that to make sure that the edges are blended nicely. Next, I'm going to take this medium to dark-ish brown from the MUA palette, and I'm just taking this on a much smaller fluffy brush. I'm going to just add a tiny bit of this just along my lash line on like the outer half of my eye. And don't panic if you get it underneath here, because we can clean that up afterwards, but I just want to add a little bit of further depth to my lash line, but making sure that I use a really small brush, and I don't want to go in too heavy with this and make everything too dark, but just a little bit, like a little bit of extra smokiness on the outer whatever this is, eyeball. But also I would just like to say as well, if you don't normally wear makeup or eyeshadow and this feels way too heavy for you, that is fine. You could literally just do what I did at the start, take that like medium brown colour, you could even use a bronzer if you don't have an eyeshadow palette, and then just take a shimmer and put it all over like the 3/4 of your lid, which I'll show you in a bit. But that could literally be it. You don't have to go crazy. I would really recommend like watch multiple different bridal tutorials, look up bridal makeup on Pinterest and try and copy the pictures, or try and copy different types of tutorials to see what suits you and your face shape, your eye shape, your, you know, your preferences, because not everyone is going to like the same makeup on themselves. In my first trial I used a brown liquid liner, but I think for me that was a little bit too harsh, so I'm going to go for a brown pencil liner. But if you are more comfortable with liquid liner, or if you're not comfortable with eyeliner at all, you don't have to do it. Something I would recommend if you're not comfortable with any eyeliner is just to add a bit of depth. Just take an angled brush and a bit of the dark brown matte eyeshadow and just pat a little bit of this along your lash line about halfway along, and then like smudge it out a little bit, because that will give you a nice bit of like depth to your outer corners. Okay, brown eyeliners, I have a few. I really like the Sephora one. I don't know if this counts as drugstore because I think it's £12, so maybe disregard that. NYX make one, which is the Line Loud. Oh, that's a lip pencil. Ignore me. I have definitely used that on my eyes. Maybelline make this tattoo liner gel pencil, which I think now the packaging is like this. Oh wait, no, this one was called the smoky liner, I'm sure. Whatever this was, it was a Maybelline one. All the writing has come off. I believe it is the, I can vaguely see it, tattoo liner smoky. It's got a little smudger on the end and it's twistable. This comes with me everywhere in my handbag, which is why it's all worn off. And then Colourpop also do lovely gel liners as well. These ones aren't waterproof though, so I'd maybe recommend this Maybelline one because it's waterproof. The Colourpop ones are really lovely though, and if you set them with eyeshadow, they should be absolutely fine. I love the shades Overboard and Sunnyvale. They're both like really nice warm browns. I'm gonna use the Maybelline one. I'm just gonna draw this as close to my lash line as I can, and I don't want to make it too thick. I'm gonna draw a little bit, and then I'm gonna take a angled brush. I'm just gonna smudge it as I go, because this one dries really quick. Don't panic if it looks a bit shit at first, because I am gonna go in with a brown eyeliner and kind of smoke it out anyway. So I've just drawn that all the way in, and then I'm going to just smudge it out slightly, but you don't want to go too crazy. This just softens it a little bit. You could use black if you prefer black eyeliner. While we're here, I'm going to draw that in my tight line. They do make a black version of this one, and actually all of the pencils that I just showed you. This actually feels like it's starting to dry up a little bit. I mean, I have had this for a while, so. And then I'm going to start trying to do a wing. Oh my god, this feels like it's too dried up to try and do a wing. I just want like a little bit, so I'm going to try. Wow, yeah, this is really dry, isn't it? You know what? Just pretend that I've got a fresh one of these. I'm going to swap to my fresh other Maybelline one to do this wing. And I'm not going to bring this up too high. I'm going to just do a little bit and then use a brush to just drag that out. And then I'm actually just going to take the brush and paint some of that on. Yeah, I definitely prefer how it looks with pencil liner. It's just a little bit softer. I'd say just don't go too big with it. Like, don't smoke it up too much. You want to keep everything quite like close to your lash line. Otherwise, it might potentially make your eyes look smaller. And then I'm going to go in with the dark brown eyeshadow from this little palette. And still on my angled brush, I'm just going to go over that all. Kind of like double set it, I guess. Again, trying to keep it as close to your lash line as you can. You can smoke it out a little bit by just like taking the remainder on the brush. And then I'm just gonna check because the inner corners of my eyes have not really been set yet. So again, I'm just gonna make sure that they're blended, that there's no creases before I go in with my eyeshadow. And then I'm gonna take, oh, which one do I use? These both look so stunning. Like, for a £3.95 eyeshadow palette, those shimmers are gorgeous. I think I would take the slightly lighter pink toned one, and just taking this on a flat brush, and I'm gonna put this on the inner, okay, whoa, that's actually lighter than I thought it was gonna be. The inner part of my eyelid, kind of like 3/4 of the way along. And again, you can build this up slowly. You know what, I'm gonna take the slightly darker shade. That is so pretty. But actually as well, there's like a more pink toned one in this palette that I'm gonna try. Only if you want a little bit more pink toned. Oh my god, that one is so pigmented. And as I'm doing this, I'm gonna kind of look down into a mirror because you don't want to bring it all the way up to your eyebrow, but I like to bring it just a tiny bit above my crease to make my eyes look a bit bigger, but it's completely up to you. And then I'm just gonna blend that into that other shade. Same on this eye. Also, I don't mind that I've gone over my eyeliner because I feel like it blends it in a bit more seamlessly. And then I'm very, very, very gently gonna take this white sparkly colour. You know what, it's kind of inconsistent because some of the palettes this shade looked a bit more pink. And I'm just gonna take some of this on my finger, kind of dab off the excess on my hand, and I'm just gonna pat that very gently to add an extra bit of sparkle. But you do not need a lot, it is so pigmented. I don't want to turn it into like a full-on white eye look, but I want a bit of extra sparkle. You know what, as I do this, I think I'm realizing that I prefer not bringing my eyeliner all the way into the inner corner. I think I might just go halfway across on the actual wedding day, so I'm just gonna go over with some of that eyeshadow to lighten it up a bit. Oh my god, there's a fly in it again! Now I'm gonna put on some mascara. On the day, I will definitely be using a waterproof mascara, which again, I would recommend trying out a waterproof mascara beforehand because some of them I find still smudge on me, surprisingly. But that seems to be different for everyone. Also, if your lashes aren't particularly curly, I would recommend curling your eyelashes on the day. And I am going to stick on some lashes. You don't have to, but in the meantime, I'm going to move on to my face. And I do have some eyeshadow fallout on my face. I'd recommend maybe taking some micellar water and like wiping away if you've got any eyeshadow fallout. And I will come back to the eyes, but for my primer, I would say if you've got dry skin, go for a hydrating primer. I love this NYX one. It's the Plump Right Back, or even just your moisturizer, maybe absolutely fine. You do not have to use 2 primers. I am a little bit extra and I will probably be using 2 primers on my wedding day because I like one that's more grippy, and then around my T-zone I want one that's more mattifying. e.l.f. Power Grip is one of my favourite primers because it's a dupe of the Milk Hydro Grip, which is probably my favourite primer. I'm just gonna smooth that all over. In the first trial that I did my eyebrows at this stage and then I really regretted it, so let me just reverse quickly because I forgot a step. Before you do your primer, take some micellar water on a cotton bud pad, whatever, and clean up that eyeshadow. And then if I'm honest with you, I am yet to discover a dupe of the Tarte, the like super mattifying poreless primer. I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Putty Primer just on my nose, in my smile lines, and a little bit over my cheeks. Yeah, if anybody knows a really good mattifying drugstore primer that's not like super slippery, because they're all like that silicone-y slippery feel, let me know. In terms of foundation, the 3 that I would recommend. If you have got dry skin, the L'Oreal Plumping Tinted Serum. This is so nice. This is comparable to like some of my high-end foundations, like my NARS foundations, and actually maybe I would even wear this on my own wedding day, and my skin is oily. I would just have to touch up throughout the day. Such a nice finish, gorgeous, gorgeous foundation. For any skin type, I would recommend the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation. This is the 32-hour fresh wear one. Again, comparable to some of my NARS foundations. This lasts so well. And another one, if you have oily skin, is the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour Skin Tint. Again, this has a gorgeous finish, although I use this all the time time, I would be happy to wear this on my wedding day if I'm honest. It's like a semi-matte kind of finish. I mean, I've used this in so many videos. Just to switch it up today, I'm gonna use the L'Oreal one because I've not used this in a while. But before I do my foundation, something that I'm gonna do quickly, this is the NYX Pro Fix Stick Concealer. I've got the shade Vanilla 05. On any spots, I'm actually gonna just paint over these with this concealer stick, which is really nice, good coverage, just to kind of sandwich in the concealer. And then I'm gonna apply my foundation directly over the top. Oh my god, why is the lid sticky? I've got the shade 125 Warm Undertone. Oh god, I've just realised I've not fake tanned yet. That is a job that I'm doing tonight, so this is not gonna match. And again, with the foundation, with the concealer, start with less. Don't pile it on. I've maybe even started with a bit too much here. You can either use a brush or a sponge. I would recommend trialing, like experimenting with your preferred finish. A sponge, I feel like really kind of makes it not look as heavy. But again, work in light layers. If you feel like you need more coverage, your best bet is probably to add more concealer rather than more foundation. Because the more foundation you have on your face, the more cakey things are gonna look. So a light layer of this should be fine. And even if you think you've got the best shade match in the world, on your wedding day, make sure that you bring a little bit down your neck. Be very careful when you're going around the edges of your eyeshadow. If you're using a brush, I'd recommend putting it onto the back of your hand first, dipping your brush in it and then applying it to your face, and like really working it into the brush, because that's what the makeup artists do apparently as well. And then for my concealer, I think one of the best concealers actually on the market, full stop, like drugstore high end, is the Maybelline Eraser. This one has been around for years, and I believe this one is the shade 00, although all the writing is, like the shade is rubbed off the front of it. Why is none coming out? Come on, is my clicky thing broken? I mean, there's still a little bit left in the sides. I'm just gonna put this under my eyes. I'm gonna put a little bit up here as well. Oh my gosh, it looks like I'm using quite a lot, but I mean, not a lot is actually coming out of this. And I'm gonna put a bit of that on my chin to highlight, and then a little bit down the center of my nose. Maybe it's actually just empty and it's all just like stuck around the sides. Like, I can see that it's stuck around the sides, but how do I get it to all come up the top? And how do I all get it to the bottom? Do I swing it around? No, maybe not. I may have to use something else because this little bit of concealer is a little bit dried up because it's just like what's in the top of the lid, but I would not be surprised if that's just run out because I do use it all the time. Again, when you're going close to your eyeshadow, it may actually be better to just use a little brush. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna take a flat brush and just use that concealer to clean up my eyeshadow nice and neatly. You don't want to go too many shades too light under your eyes, otherwise you might end up looking a bit ghostly in your pictures. Then I'm just going to go back over areas that need a little bit more coverage. If you have any spots that are really difficult to cover, I would recommend using a small brush, leave the concealer on it for a little while for it to dry down a little bit, and then just tap over it with a brush instead of a sponge, because sometimes the sponge can sheer out your concealer a bit too much. And then once you've done that, I would recommend once you've set your face, go back over that spot on a small brush with a bit of powder foundation just to add even more coverage. Then I am going to do cream bronzer and blush because I like to sandwich them again. I feel like it lasts longer if I do both cream and powder, but you don't have to do this. I'm using the MUA bronzed cream bronzer in the shade Caramel. They do a few different shades of this. Another good shout is the Collection cream bronzer. I think they just do one shade of that though, which is not good enough collection, but I'm just gonna again work in light layers with this. Maybe that was a bit too much that I even put on there, and just find the hollows of my cheeks. You can go for a cooler toned contour shade if you prefer, like the e.l.f. contour stick is really nice, as in the one that's supposed to be like a dupe of the Charlotte Tilbury one. They do like nice cool tones in that, but I personally like a warm bronzy contour, which is like pretty much sculpting but with my bronzer, because I prefer everything to look a bit more warm. And I just put a bit of this on my cheeks. Don't drag it down too low, otherwise it will bring your face down. You want to make sure that you're doing it relatively high up. A little bit on the temples of my forehead. Make sure that you blend it sort of like into your hairline a little bit so that it doesn't look too separated. But again, can you see how I've used a small amount of that? That will do, because I'm going to go in with powder bronzer as well, but I just want to set down the base. And then I'm also using this on my nose because I like to contour my nose. You don't have to do that at all. Oh, that was too much. Bloody hell. This is pigmented, so go lightly handed with it. When in doubt, use your sponge to just blend over everything again. For liquid or cream blushes, my favourite ones from the drugstore are the e.l.f. ones. These are the, what are these even called? I don't know, but the e.l.f. ones that look like this, the camo blushes maybe? Is that what they're called? I don't know, but they look like they're in a little lip gloss packaging. This one is the shade Pinky Promise. That is a gorgeous blush. I'm going to use these, which are from 17, which is a Boots brand. These are the blush drops in the shade Candy Pink. And then with these, I'm going to put a couple drops on the back of my hand, work it into my brush, and then work it into my face. I'm gonna try and not bring it down too far today, because in my last trial I brought my blush down too far. I think I've already taken it in a bit too much. You don't want to sort of bring it past the middle of your eyeball. It's generally most flattering if you keep it sort of above your cheekbone. I'm also gonna try to not go too crazy with this, because last time I think the blush was a bit overboard, but I love blush and I think it photographs so beautifully and I want to be a blushing bride. Yeah, this blush is gorgeous. I'm just using the smallest amount of it. I'm gonna put the tiniest bit on the middle of my nose, which you definitely do not have to do that. I just love a blushy nose, I don't know why. Now it is time to set everything, and I've got to be honest with you, I think that the drugstore is lacking in good loose setting powders, and I personally, because I have oily skin, I find that loose powders work so much better to actually set everything. If you have dry skin, I'd recommend the e.l.f. Halo Glow. However, if you have oily skin, this is probably too glowy. The ones that you can actually buy in store, the Real Match Perfection is fine. It doesn't have flashback, but I find this a bit too drying, but it would do the job for sure. I know that a lot of people love this. I just have other powders that I prefer, but if you are unable to get anything else, this one will do the job. I did a flashback test earlier on my arm and it doesn't seem to have flashback, so that one is good but not incredible. Honestly, I'd recommend, if you can invest in one product on your wedding day, Laura Mercier translucent powder is so good. However, if you're looking for a dupe, you can buy this Maybelline one on Amazon. You can't get this in the drugstores in the UK, which I don't know why, it's so annoying. You can get this on Amazon, but I think it will cost you maybe like £15. It's the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder, but this is different from our Fit Me powder in the UK. Shade 05 I would say is a pretty good dupe of the Laura Mercier. That one's probably my best pick of the bunch. I also love the Colourpop No Filter powder, the translucent one, but again, Colourpop isn't that easily accessible. And then another one that does the job, but I also find a little bit dry, is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus translucent powder. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use the Rimmel one just because I feel like that's the most easily accessible. And again, before setting anything, blend your under eyes. You do not want to set creases in place. And same with your smile lines, re-blend those. I'm going to use a powder puff, and I would highly recommend getting yourself a powder puff. They do sell them in Primark. This one is from Trigwell Cosmetics, which is probably my favourite, but they do sell others that are more affordable. And I'm just going to press a little bit of powder, not crazy amounts, just into my under eyes, and just be very careful underneath that eyeshadow that you've done. But you do definitely want to make sure that you set all the way up to that eyeshadow so that you don't get random like oily marks. And I'm going to press that in. Don't use too much, otherwise it might look a little bit ghostly. I recommend picking some up like that and then tapping it on the back of your hand to get off the excess. The excess. On the rest of my face, I'm just going to use a brush just because it's a bit quicker. Editing Soph here. I just wanted to say, I forgot to mention, you don't have to powder your whole face if you don't want to. If you've got dry skin, if you don't crease in places on your face, you do not have to powder your entire face. I only powder my entire face because my skin is oily and it creases quite badly, and if I don't set my whole face, I will get oily very quickly, and on my wedding day I need it to last as long as possible. So I generally prefer to powder my whole face and then go back in with a setting spray to bring some moisture back in, if that helps, but you don't need to. For powder bronzer, if you have the budget to go for one of the NYX Butter bronzers, this one is gorgeous. I've got the shade All Buttered Up. If not, the 17 Glow bronzer, I think this one is £4, so like half the price. The 17 Glow bronzer is really nice. This is actually a really good one for your nose as well, like if you prefer like a cooler tone contour. I'm going to use that one on my nose to just double up on the nose contour. Make sure to blend that into my eyebrows. I'm going to use the NYX one. Just gently, it's very pigmented, so you don't need a lot. And the hollows on my cheeks again, where I bronzed before. And then lift up my hair, add some to temples, and you'll probably want to bring a little bit down your neck as well. And if your chest is exposed, you maybe want to like add a bit of bronzer, maybe a bit of glowy bronzer. I'm probably going to add some of the L'Oreal like Lumi Glotion stuff. Okay, so that's just For blush, honestly, there are so many good drugstore blushes. When I was in Superdrug today, I saw so many, but I was like, you know what? I don't need to buy a new blush because I've got so many blushes. But I saw that MUA had some nice ones. One of my favorite bridal blushes is this e.l.f. one, which is called Bright Pink / Rose. I think I got this in an advent calendar or something. I can't find this though online. Something similar is this palette, which is from the Beauty Crop, which is called the Cocoa Rose Blush Palette. Looks like this in the middle, and this one is like a highlightery blush. This is such a pretty bridal pink. This little bourgeois blush is very cute, very bridal. It's in the shade 95 Rose, Jasper Rose. Milani make some of the best blushes in my opinion. Like they're glowy, they're gorgeous. This one is called Bella Bellini. My favorite one is Luminoso, which, do I wear that today? No. If you have a Kiko store near you, or if you can order Kiko online, they also make some lovely blushes. This one is called 05 in the Unlimited blushes. I feel like that's quite a nice bridal shade, but maybe a little dark. You know what? Let me try on a little bit of this because I like that kind of cooler toned pink. I feel like it looks a bit more bridal. That's nice, but it's matte. Definitely want a bit more of a glowy blush. I'm gonna try a bit of this one, which is the Milani Bella Bellini blush. I think that's probably enough blush. For highlighter, again, MUA makes some beautiful highlighters that are like £3. I didn't buy one today because I was like, you know what, I've got highlighters. I feel like the drugstore's kind of lacking in terms of like really good highlighters. I'm gonna use my one from Revolution, which again, I don't think you can buy in Superdrug, but I mean, it's a lovely highlighter. Something that I would suggest actually doing is dip into, hang on, let me do it while I'm doing it. Dip into your highlighter and dip into your blush at the same time to make like a blushy highlight hybrid. And I'm just going to put this on the tops of my cheekbones. Probably should have used a smaller brush for that because I feel like that's taken away some of my blush. On my nose, I'm going to use an eyeshadow brush. If you have the budget, get this. It's the Pixi Glowy Powder in Peach Dew. This is a blush and highlight in one, so you don't need both products, and it's so beautiful. Like, I probably will be wearing that on my wedding day. For my eyebrows, I'm going to use my trusty NYX brow pen in the shade Ash Brown. For eyebrows, I would definitely recommend shaping, plucking, or even getting your eyebrows threaded. You want to make sure that they're looking nice and neat. The brow pen definitely takes a little bit of practice, so if you feel more comfortable using a pencil, go for it. Or if you're not super confident doing your own eyebrows, maybe get a eyebrow tint, but try that out like a good few months before the wedding in case you hate it. Oh, and I'm using the NYX brow gel, that brow glue. They also do a tinted version of this now, I think. I'm gonna do some setting spray. If you want a glowy finish, go for the NYX Plump Finish setting spray. Actually, maybe not on your wedding day because the mister on this is so strong. If you have dry skin, the new e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray is gorgeous. It just melts everything in together. If you have oily skin, I would recommend this one, which is the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Mist, or the L'Oreal Infallible one if you actually don't mind the fumes of alcohol. This one is very strong. I mean, it will definitely stick your makeup on for sure. Comes out like hairspray. Smells horrible. So maybe go with the e.l.f. Spray, setting spray liberally, but not to the point where it's like dripping, because you don't want to mess up your makeup, but you do want to make sure that you have enough of it on so that it's actually going to do something, you know? This one I love. Tried and tested. It's great. Back to the little eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to use the medium brown. Is that what I used on my lid? Just along my lower lash line. I don't want anything too heavy on my lower lash line, but I just want a little bit of something. And then on my inner corners, I'm going to take that super bright shade again. You do not have to use this one if that's going to be too much for you. Actually, maybe that is a bit too much on the inner corner. Okay, that's possibly too much. Maybe go with the like light pink shade I initially used on my lid. I mean, I've committed to this now, so I'm just going to use that, but I love a nice bright inner corner. For lashes, I'd recommend the 008s from Isla. These ones are very, very lightweight, very beginner friendly because they've got such a thin band. But I also bought these, which are slightly more dramatic and a little bit more fluffy. These are the Isla 184 Full and Wispy lashes, and you can reuse these, by the way. And also, Kiss makes some lovely lashes. These are the new day-to-day lash, My Lash but better. These also look gorgeous, but I'm gonna use these. I'm just gonna use the glue that comes in the packet and make sure to put on enough lash glue, but not to the point where it's like dripping off, but you want to put on a decent amount. Then I'm gonna leave these to dry. I'm gonna rest them carefully back on the plastic. Oh God, not upwards, that's just taking all the glue off. Or probably a better idea, hold them in your hand, do them one by one, wave it about a bit. You can blow on it if you want to, just because you want the glue to dry a little bit before you stick them on so that it goes tacky. Otherwise, they're just gonna peel off immediately. I have these little lash applicators from Kiss. If you can get a pair, I'd recommend them. They do lash applicators on Amazon as well, probably on TikTok Shop for really cheap. Make sure that you've waited a good 30 seconds or so, and then look down into a mirror and kind of place the lash. You don't want it to touch your lashes so you get glue on it. Kind of slowly lower it down onto your lash band and then let go, and then you can use the tweezers to maneuver it into the right place. I did not put enough glue on the inner corner, and then I'm going to push down with my finger, kind of pinch. These ones look lovely, but I'd say the other eyeliner ones that I used in my previous video are more beginner friendly because the band on these ones is a little bit thicker. And I think these are a little bit more visible. Why am I struggling with this eye? Yeah, honestly, these look nice, but they are not very beginner friendly. Like, I'm struggling with them. The other ones that I showed at the start was so much easier to use. I think the lash band on these is just a little bit thicker. What I was gonna say is if you struggle with an actual strip lash like these, I'd highly recommend having a play around with some individual lashes, like the Kiss Falscara. That one is pretty foolproof. But lashes can be tricky. Definitely practice with them beforehand, because as you saw, like even me, I struggled a little bit. I'm gonna try this on my waterline, which is a L'Oreal Infallible Gel Automatic Eyeliner in the shade Opalescent. It's like a pearly cream colour. Oh, just poked myself in the eye. But that is quite pretty because it's not too overpowering. And then a little bit of mascara on my lower lashes. I'm definitely preferring this today, I think, from my first trial. So these are the finished eyes. The lashes are not looking perfect, but I think the eyes just look really, really pretty and like glam, but not crazy glam. A really gorgeous sparkly eyeshadow topper is the Kiko Diamond Shine highlighter. I would not recommend this as a highlighter, but I'd recommend it as like a really nice sparkly eyeshadow top coat that just adds like an extra bit of sparkle, which you know what. And then on my lips, I'd really recommend the e.l.f. lip liners, and they have so many different, well, they have a fair few different shades of these in different variety of nude shades. I think I will do Truth or Bear, or do I do Baddest Beige? Let's do Baddest Beige, actually. These are £2. They also do a really nice mauve shade. Maybe I should have gone with the other one. That's quite brown, isn't it? And then for my lipstick, I'm going to try this one, which is from L'Oreal, which is the Intense Volume Matte in 602. I'm going to try it. It might not be perfect, but we'll give it a go. I think that's a bit too purpley. Yeah, that's a bit too purple. Let's try... Oh, I forgot to say Colourpop make really nice sparkly eyeshadows as well. The shades Fringe and Ritz are gorgeous. Let's try this Kiko Lip Stylo. What's this called? Lip Unlimited Stylo in 03. Hang on. Let me just kiss off some of that L'Oreal. That's a bit more pink, but I still feel like I want something a bit lighter. Oh, I know what will do it. This is from 17 and it's called Soft Pink. I'm just going to put some of that in the centre. See, I'm just looking at myself now and thinking, you need more blush. And this lip colour is nice, but it's still maybe a bit too greyish. Like a little bit of pink might be quite nice. I think what I'm gonna do is when I'm walking down the aisle and like for the You May Kiss the Bride, I think I will just go with matte lipstick, and then after that, I will then put a gloss on for like all the pictures and stuff. Just topping this with the Rose Lip Oil from e.l.f. And I think that is my finished makeup look. This is my bridal makeup look. Okay everybody, that is me done. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give this a thumbs up. And if you are getting married, congratulations. Good luck if you are doing your own makeup. Just try and do like a good few practice runs. You do not have to go as dramatic as this. You can take out any steps that you don't want to do. I hope you guys are doing good. If you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!